All right, getting ready for a military welfare worker interview.
That's right, and it's a big one.
It is. Supporting the emotional well-being of military families and veterans. It's not an easy job.
No, it's not. But we're here to help make that interview a little less stressful.
Exactly. We've got some RoleCatcher guides with us.
A career overview, FAQs, even sample interview questions, the works.
Really good stuff, and we're diving deep into them to help you nail this interview.
We're going to focus on what the interviewers are really looking for.
And how you can give answers that will really hit the mark.
Absolutely.
Think of this as a masterclass, not just on what they'll ask,
But why they ask it.
and how to use your own experience to create the perfect answer.
It's all about strategy.
Okay, before we get to the questions, let's break down what this role actually involves.
Right, because it's so much more than just counseling.
Way more. This RoleCatcher guide, it really digs deep.
It talks about helping families deal with the stress of deployment.
Guiding veterans as they transition back to civilian life.
It's a whole journey, and this role is there every step of the way.
It really is. Now let's dive into those interview questions.
Let's do it.
The guide starts with a classic. Tell us about your experience working with military service members and their families.
That can feel like a tough one, especially if you haven't worked directly in this area.
Right, they can be intimidating.
But, even if you don't have direct professional experience,
There's still so much you can draw on.
think about it. Have you volunteered with veterans organizations?
Supported a friend or family member through a deployment.
It all counts. Interviewers are looking for signs that you get the military community.
And that you understand the challenges they face.
Exactly.
So it's all about making those connections, right?
It is, showing how those experiences, even the ones that don't seem directly related.
They've given you valuable skills that you can bring to this role.
Right, like maybe you mentored a military spouse while their partner was deployed.
You can talk about how you learned to communicate effectively.
Provide emotional support.
Maybe you helped them navigate some tricky practical challenges.
It all adds up. And you know what? This is where RoleCatcher's AI can be super helpful.
Really? How so?
Their platform actually analyzes the job description.
Wow.
And then it suggests relevant skills from your own experience that you might not even think of.
That's incredible. It's helping you connect the dots between your past.
And what this specific job requires.
It's like having your own personal guide saying, hey, remember that time you did this?
That's totally relevant here.
I love it. Okay, let's tackle another common question. How do you approach building rapport with military service members and their families?
This one is less about your resume.
And more about who you are, your approach.
Exactly. They want someone who can really connect with this unique population.
And that takes active listening, empathy, and understanding different cultures.
You've got to remember, military families often have their own way of communicating.
Their own customs, experiences that shape how they see the world.
It's essential to be sensitive to that.
So it's not just about being friendly. It's about understanding military culture.
Respecting their experiences.
For example, maybe mention that you're familiar with military jargon.
Or that you understand the challenges of deployment.
You could even share a personal story that shows you get it,
Right. Personal stories can be powerful, but choose them carefully.
Of course.
They should be relevant, concise, and they should really highlight your abilities.
And again, RoleCatcher can help with that.
Their AI feedback is amazing for this. You can practice your answers.
And get suggestions on how to make them even better.
More impactful.
That's such a great feature. It's like having a personal coach helping you refine your communication style.
Absolutely. Making sure your message comes across clearly and authentically.
I love it. Okay, let's move on to a question that digs a bit deeper. Can you give an example of a time when you advocated for the needs and rights of military service members and their families?
This is where you get to showcase your passion and commitment.
It's about showing that you're not just going through the motions.
That you're genuinely dedicated to fighting for the well-being of your clients.
I like that. So, what kind of examples would really impress the interviewers?
Think about times when you went above and beyond to support someone.
Like maybe you helped a veteran navigate the system to get the benefits they deserved?
Or maybe you stepped in during a family crisis to make sure the kids were safe.
Wow. Powerful examples.
The key is to choose something that shows you understand the unique challenges military families face.
And that you know how to advocate for them effectively.
And remember, don't just tell them what you did.
Right, walk them through it.
Exactly. Tell them how you thought through the situation, the steps you took, and the difference you made.
Paint a picture with your words.
Yes. And let your passion shine through.
I love that. Now, before we move on to more questions, I want to highlight something from the guide about professional development.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
It emphasizes staying up to date on the latest research.
And best practices in military social work, they could definitely ask you about this directly.
So I shouldn't just say, oh, I read articles sometimes.
Probably not going to cut it.
Okay. So what should I say?
Think more proactive, like attending conferences, reading professional journals, participating in training programs.
Okay, so showing that I'm actively engaged in learning and growing in this field.
Exactly. That's what they want to hear.
All right. Let's tackle another tricky question. Can you describe a time when you had to address a difficult ethical dilemma in your work? This one can feel like a minefield.
It can, but it's all about assessing your judgment and decision-making skills.
Okay, so how do we navigate this minefield?
What's really interesting is that the guide actually gives examples of ethical dilemmas you might face in this field.
Like what?
Things like confidentiality, conflicting interests, cultural sensitivities.
So real-world scenarios.
Exactly. Imagine having to balance reporting abuse with protecting a family's privacy.
That's tough.
Or what if a client's cultural beliefs clash with the recommended treatment?
That's a tough one. So how do we answer this question effectively?
The key is to show that you can weigh different perspectives
Consult ethical guidelines,
and make a well-reasoned decision.
even if there isn't a clear right answer.
Right, exactly. What matters is demonstrating that you've really thought it through and that you can clearly explain your reasoning.
And once again, RoleCatcher's AI feedback can be incredibly helpful here.
Oh, absolutely. Practice your answer.
Get personalized insights on how to structure your response.
Make sure it really conveys your ethical reasoning.
I love that feature. It's like having a personal ethics consultant in your pocket.
Exactly. All right, ready for another one?
Hit me.
How do you incorporate a trauma-informed approach in your work with military service members and their families?
This is so important given how common PTSD and other trauma-related conditions are in the military community.
Absolutely crucial. But for someone outside the field, trauma-informed can sound a bit jargony.
It does, yeah. So break it down for us. What does it really mean?
It means recognizing that many military personnel and their families have experienced trauma,
Either directly or indirectly.
and you have to adjust your interactions accordingly.
Okay, that makes sense. So how do we show that we understand and apply this approach?
You need to describe how you create a safe and supportive environment,
One where clients feel heard and respected.
and where you avoid anything that could re-traumatize them.
So it's about being sensitive to their past experiences.
Tailoring your approach to meet their individual needs.
You might mention using clear and respectful language,
Offering choices and control whenever possible.
or even using grounding techniques if someone becomes overwhelmed.
Exactly. And remember, this also ties back to professional development.
Right, staying updated on the latest trauma-informed care practices is key.
You might want to mention any specific training you've had in this area.
Or your commitment to continuing education.
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, but we're just getting started.
That's right. We've got more challenging interview questions and expert insights coming up in part 2.
So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to continue this deep dive into your military welfare worker interview prep.
See you in part 2. Welcome back to our deep dive, getting you ready for that military welfare worker interview.
We're ready to tackle more of those tough questions. This RoleCatcher guide is packed with insights.
It really is. Let's jump right in with a question that really tests your knowledge.
Okay, hit me.
What are some of the unique challenges faced by military families, and how would you address them?
This one goes deeper than just deployment stress, right?
Absolutely. It's about showing you really understand what these families go through.
The complexities they face every single day.
The guide highlights frequent relocations as a major challenge.
Oh yeah, moving all the time.
Yeah.
That's got to be tough.
Think about it. Disruption to support systems, impact on kids' education.
Constantly having to rebuild connections. Exhausting.
And then there's the emotional strain of having a loved one in a dangerous profession.
That constant worry. It must be incredibly heavy.
And even when the service member returns, there are hurdles.
Like what?
Reintegration challenges. Families have adapted to life without them.
Roles have shifted, and everyone has to adjust,
It's like restarting family dynamics.
which can definitely lead to conflict. I imagine teenagers especially might struggle with those transitions,
The guide mentions teenagers fearing losing their parents.
or not even recognizing them when they come back.
It's heartbreaking. These are deep emotional issues that we need to be aware of.
So when answering this question, we need to cover a range of challenges.
Show the interviewer that we get it, that we've done our homework.
But it's not enough to just list challenges.
Right, we have to talk solutions.
Okay, so connect those challenges to concrete actions. What would you do as a military welfare worker?
Would you offer counseling? Connect families with support groups? Advocate for them within the military system?
It's about showing that you're proactive and resourceful. And you know what? RoleCatcher's AI can help with this too.
Oh, how so?
Their platform lets you search for organizations that support military families.
And you can tailor your search by location.
Exactly. So you walk into that interview knowing about local resources that are relevant to the job.
That level of preparation would really stand out.
It shows you're serious. Okay, let's move on to a question that gets a bit more personal.
Okay, which one?
Describe your experience working with individuals who have experienced trauma.
This is crucial for this role.
Because of the high rates of PTSD and trauma-related conditions in the military.
And remember, trauma isn't limited to veterans.
Right, their families can experience secondary trauma.
Exactly. So when answering this question, think broadly.
Any situation where I supported someone who's been through trauma,
Professional or personal, it all counts.
but the focus should be on what?
Showing that you understand the impact of trauma.
And that you can create a safe and supportive environment.
You could mention specific techniques you've used, like active listening or validation.
And if you have any specialized training in trauma-informed care,
Definitely highlight that.
the RoleCatcher Guide actually suggests pursuing certifications.
Like military family life consultant or trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy.
Those certifications would show a real commitment to this field.
Okay.
Let's shift gears a little.
Okay. Thanks, Ted.
This next question is, how would you handle a situation where a client is reluctant to seek help or engage in treatment?
This is about more than just skills.
It's about patience, persistence, building trust.
And understanding why someone might resist getting help.
Especially in the military culture.
There's often a stigma around mental health.
Yeah, and some might worry that seeking help could hurt their career.
So how do we navigate this?
Carefully. We need to show empathy,
And understanding of those barriers.
that we can meet clients where they are.
Work with them at their own pace.
Gently guide them toward accepting support.
It's about building a collaborative relationship.
Based on trust and respect.
We're not forcing treatment on anyone.
Right. We might mention motivational interviewing techniques.
Emphasize client autonomy.
Maybe collaborate on setting small, achievable goals.
Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just be there.
Just offer consistent support. Be a non-judgmental presence.
Give the client the space to open up when they're ready.
Okay, let's tackle a question that gets personal. How do you handle stress and maintain your own well-being while working in such a demanding and emotionally charged role?
Self-care is essential in this field.
It's not just a buzzword, it's survival.
They're looking for someone who's self-aware.
And has healthy coping mechanisms to prevent burnout.
The guide mentions exercise, mindfulness practices.
Maintaining a strong support system outside of work.
All great strategies. And don't forget boundaries.
Oh yeah, boundaries are key.
It's crucial to separate work from your personal life.
Especially when you're dealing with such heavy emotional stuff.
Having a designated workspace can help.
Limiting contact with clients after hours.
Maybe a relaxing ritual at the end of the day.
It's about finding what works for you and making your well-being a priority.
Because that's how you show up as your best self for your clients.
All right, before we wrap up this part, let's look at one more question.
Sounds good.
This one focuses on the diverse nature of this role. Can you describe your experience working with diverse populations?
Military families come from all walks of life.
It's a microcosm of society, different cultures, ethnicities, backgrounds.
So it's about more than just understanding military culture.
It's about cultural competence on a broader scale.
Recognizing and respecting the unique needs and perspectives of every individual.
So what kind of experience would show that I have this cultural competence?
Think about times you've interacted with people from different backgrounds,
Have I worked with diverse clients? Volunteered in multicultural communities?
lived or traveled abroad.
Those are all great examples.
They showcase your adaptability and sensitivity.
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI-powered CV builder can be so useful.
How so?
It helps you highlight these experiences in a way that will resonate with employers.
Their platform analyzes the job description.
And suggests ways to tailor your CV.
So your most relevant skills and experiences really shine.
It's like having a personal marketing team crafting your story. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have some heavy questions, but also some great strategies.
And we're not done yet. Stay tuned for part 3.
We'll wrap up with final tips and insights to help you ace that interview.
And we'll dive even deeper into how RoleCatcher can be your secret weapon throughout your job search.
So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to finish this deep dive.
See you in part 3. And we're back for the final part of our military welfare worker interview prep deep dive.
We've unpacked the role, tackled those tough questions. You're probably feeling much more prepared now.
Hopefully. But we're not done yet.
Nope, we've still got some finer points to cover.
Okay, give me those secret ingredients for a truly great interview.
First up, remember, it's a two-way street.
Meaning?
You're not just there to be judged.
Right, it's also about me figuring out if this organization is the right fit.
Exactly. Does it align with your values, your goals?
So important. What kind of questions should I be asking them?
Ask about their culture, team dynamics, opportunities for professional development.
Okay, good starting points. Those questions show that I'm not just desperate for any job.
It shows you're thoughtful, that you're thinking long-term.
Okay, good. Now let's talk about storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Remember those questions about advocating for clients, navigating ethical dilemmas.
Those are more than just facts. They're chances to tell a story.
A story that will really engage the interviewer.
Bring your experiences to life. Use vivid details. Make it emotionally resonant.
Okay, how do I become a master storyteller?
Practice. Rehearse your stories.
Okay.
Make sure they have a clear structure, set the scene, describe the challenge, outline your actions.
And the impact.
Exactly. And guess what? RoleCatcher's AI can help here too.
No way, really.
Their platform analyzes your practice answers
Wow.
and gives you suggestions on how to make your storytelling more captivating.
It's like having a director helping me rehearse. Okay, now what about body language, nonverbal communication?
Nonverbal cues are huge. Eye contact, good posture, project confidence.
So I should sit up straight, look them in the eye, and try to look like I believe in myself.
It shows you're engaged, that you're excited about the opportunity.
A confident demeanor can really make a difference.
Right.
And a genuine smile.
Authenticity is key.
Be myself, right?
Don't try to be someone you're not. Interviewers can spot a fake a mile away.
They want the real me. And if I've used RoleCatcher's AI-powered CV builder?
You've already laid the foundation for an authentic presentation.
True. Okay, now what about those curveball questions? The ones that come out of left field?
The ones that make your mind go blank.
Exactly. Any advice on handling those gracefully?
Don't panic. Take a breath. It's okay not to have the answer instantly.
Okay, so I don't have to know everything off the top of my head.
Acknowledge the question. Gather your thoughts.
And try to relate it back to my skills or experiences.
It's about showing you can adapt, that you can problem solve on the spot.
Composure under pressure.
Exactly. And believe it or not, RoleCatcher can even help you with this.
Seriously? They thought of everything.
Their platform analyzes your overall interview performance.
Oh, wow.
Highlights areas where you could improve. Suggests strategies for handling those unexpected questions.
It's like a mock interview with an expert giving me feedback.
Yeah.
Okay, what about after the interview? Following up.
So important.
Don't just ghost them, right?
Send a thank you note within 24 hours. Express your gratitude. Reiterate your interest.
That's me on their radar.
Shows you're professional.
And with RoleCatcher, I've probably built a network of contacts, too.
Exactly. Those connections can be so valuable.
Insights, referrals, support.
Throughout your entire career journey.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the key takeaways for our listeners getting ready for their military welfare worker interview?
Well, you're not just memorizing answers.
Right. We're going deeper.
You're gaining a real understanding of this incredibly impactful role and its unique challenges.
You're armed with strategies to handle tough questions, showcase your skills,
and present yourself authentically.
And with RoleCatcher, you've got AI-powered tools and resources to help you every step of the way.
This field demands a lot. Compassion, resilience, a true commitment to serving those who've served our country.
It's challenging,
but also incredibly rewarding.
So go out there and ace that interview.
Make a real difference in the lives of military families and veterans.
Good luck. We're rooting for you. And that's a wrap on our deep dive into military welfare worker interview prep.
Join us next time for another insightful exploration of the world of careers and skills.
Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep reaching for your goals.